Let's sync up. Right one's mine. Get ready. 3, 2. Stop!
Sniper Ghost Warrior 2 is City Interactive's second attempt at creating a high-budget mainstream sniping game. With an upgrade to the CryEngine 3 where Ghost Warrior used the Chrome Engine 4, things are a lot prettier, much more efficiently, but an upgrade in the overall graphical fidelity and aesthetic isn't the only major shift in dynamic for the developer. Sniper Ghost Warrior 2 is a game that plays to the franchise's strength, leaving out all the filler that ruined the franchise's founding.
Enemies advancing in our direction.
You play as Captain Cole Anderson throughout various countries in the world, such as Tibet and Bosnia, as a Russian bioweapon made its way into the hands of some generic European terrorist with no ascertainable ideological motive other than to try and spark a war between India and Pakistan, selling arms to both nations. Yeah, the story is completely negligible and City Interactive make absolutely no effort to establish strong characters, but that's not what this game's about. This is a game about shooting people in the fucking face, not the oh so realistically presented and poignant horrors of war. It doesn't mess around, and that's a good thing. Shooting people in the face is centered around the game's primary mechanic, and as with any niche title that strives to pull one thing, but an awesome thing off, it's carefully constructed and relatively original. Aside from of course Sniper Elite V2, which featured basically exactly the same thing, gut-clenchingly violent kill cams.
Looks clear. Let's get.
So what is Sniper Ghost Warrior 2? Is it another Call of Duty clone, or a member of that always hated MMS or modern military subgenre that once again calls in tedium strikes into our hearts and minds? Well, not really. Whilst Ghost Warrior 2 is most decidedly an MMS game, it's one that doesn't employ the same dynamical playstyle as others that manage to piss us off so passionately. Let's look at Call of Duty for example. Every set piece, no matter how beautiful, is basically a stage upon which Activision offloads countless enemies you need to kill before you can enter the next room. It's basically an abattoir of filler designed to flesh out the game as much as possible. Shoot enemies and whilst they'll bend down to seemingly finger their bullet wound for a few seconds of transcendent euphoria for whatever reason, they'll perk right back up and start shooting you again. It becomes a game of spray and pray, run and gun, and that stale old dynamic supplemented by gadgets and explosives is getting pretty old. Thankfully, Ghost Warrior 2 doesn't subscribe to the same problems. Whilst it's risibly foam military, enemies die when you shoot them. Once. Because, you know, bullets. And as you swiftly progress through the game's campaign, you'll notice how the title focuses on kill quality and reward rather than kill amount and filler. This is a seriously important comparison to most MMS games, and it solves one of the problems with the genre. It's actually fun and rewarding to kill stuff. How fun and rewarding it is entirely up to you. Suffering from the same misleading difficulty settings as Sniper Elite V2, the game's 3 difficulty options actually reflects the sniper rifle's realism more than anything else. It doesn't matter what difficulty you play on, if you're spotted you're probably going to die, but what you don't want to do is play with all the assists on. Yes, I know I've got the assists on here, but it's because it's something I worked out after I'd completed the game, thanks in no small part to unclear difficulty settings. If you want a rewarding kill, you need to estimate wind and bullet drop. This isn't maths though, it's literally as easy as, well, he's that far away and there's that much wind, so I suppose that'll do then, and more often than not you've got it right. It's not that hard, but it's much more fun. Better by far, I think, to have included sniper realism settings rather than fallacious difficulty settings. And for American viewers, the word fallacious has nothing to do with blowjobs. I know, it sounds like it does, but it doesn't. I'll give you about 20 seconds to Google what fallacious means, and then we'll get on with this. Whilst I said earlier that Ghost Warrior 2 basically improved every single aspect of the original title, it's not without its own problems. For instance, Cole is such a fucking shit-hot sniper that whilst his rifle shakes around like Michael J. Fox on ecstasy, his pistol hand is steadier than a Scandinavian economy. That's right, the pistol is a one-shot kill game-breaking exploit, allowing you to gun down hordes of enemies in absolute silence or snipe using the pistol at long ranges if your mouse is good enough. As soon as you figure that out, it's too tempting not to do it. I doubt they'll patch this in anytime soon, so pretend I didn't say anything.
You're welcome.
With that, there's also inconsistent graphics. Whilst the game overall has a fantastic, vibrant and beautiful aesthetic, with lush foliage, three-dimensional spaces with mountains that tower over you and ancient ruins and paintings in old rundown churches, it also has really shitty character models and for whatever reason, the pistol model that looks like something out of Medal of Honor for the PlayStation 1. Looking at Ghost Warrior 2 up close will show blemishes, but if you look at the thing as an entire package, you can, if you try hard enough, convince yourself it looks good, which is basically the exact same way you think about your girlfriend. Some have argued the foliage is a step backwards from Chrome Engine 4, and I think I actually agree with that, but overall things are looking much more dynamic and polished. However, the cityscapes of Bosnia look like arse, and really show what ostensibly seems like an overstretched budget. Whilst Ghost Warrior had those nasty I wanna be Call of Duty segments of open assault rifle shooting, Ghost Warrior 2 has some damn near buggy stealth sections. Many of these mirror the adventures of Statham's 1 and 2 in Chechnya from the adventures of Call of Duty 4, but whilst in that title, when British cliché number 1 told you to hide or stop, we could guarantee that scripting meant you were safe. Americans are good at coding, it's basically what they were born to do. Things are different here, you can only be advised to hide or to stop. How you do that is entirely up to you. Being seen is indicated by a red ring around the minimap. When it goes all the way around, everyone starts making you want to not be alive anymore. During the stealth missions, I found myself getting spotted for no reason I could figure out. The AI in this respect is slightly buggy, but it's not game breaking. There are some moments when you'll be seen partially but have time to escape, for example, but a lot of the time I just got pissed off and pistol one-shotted everyone like a child. So you might have an impression of what the game is like overall, but I want to make the dynamic absolutely clear because in some ways it's one of the game's strongest points, so let me break it down. The number 1 task is stealth and synchronized killings a la The Adventures of Statham 1 and 2. Number 2 is approaching a site full of enemies and killing them off without being spotted. Number 3 is assisting ground troops from a long way away with a slightly bigger sniper rifle, and number 4 is stealth proper, sneaking and not being seen. In a nutshell, that's what Sniper Ghost Warrior 2 is about. And by and large it does it very well. The locations are varied and the missions never get boring because of the strength of the core combat mechanic, and whilst the game only clocks in at about 6 to 7 hours if, like me, you die from being an impatient arsehole, it offers a rewarding and exciting 6 to 7 hours with relatively low filler. The closest thing it comes to filler is Bosnia, and whilst this is the game's weakest moment, it still has its strong points. Unfortunately, some idiot thought letterbox FMV sequences with a bitrate lower than my testosterone levels was a good idea, so the game takes you out of real life action a few times to serve you with optical cancer, and they even go so far as to make the final boss kill, something you did, a pre-scripted FMV event. That's basically a crime against humanity, and the CryEngine 3 is most certainly capable of in-game rendered cutscenes. It's a bit inexcusable.
What's your status?
A little higher than I anticipated.
Once you're done with the campaign, you can head to the shooting gallery, which is actually something I'd pay for in its own, for some reason. This allows you to pick for 2 weapons and take to a rather nicely designed shooting range. It doesn't seem as though you get points and there are no leaderboards, but if you want to chill out and hone your skills, this is a really enjoyable way to do it. On top of that, there's also tacked on, albeit totally functional and actually incredibly fun multiplayer, where teams of seemingly almost retarded 12-year-olds stand adjacent to each other, contesting whether or not their shots actually made contact, accusing each other of hacking. If you're lucky, you'll be able to sit in one spot for the entire match and kill everyone, since they all seem to be typing all the fucking time. Doing this unlocks the community's self-created killstreak reward, a foul-mouthed rant enthusiastically designed to distrust your mother's chastity. And whilst this is commonplace, it has no direct benefits in combat. Multiplayer is fun, but it's very light on the ground. Basically, you snipe people in the face with assists on. That's about it. And that's Ghost Warrior 2, a title crafted around one expertly designed core mechanic that hits a niche, and this time doesn't try too hard to be something it's not. It's only $24.99, so if you're into sniping, go ahead. If you think that sniping is the worst thing ever, then you should probably not play it, unless you fucking love the idea of a magical pistol that defies the laws of gravity, in which case, knock yourself out. It has problems, but who doesn't? Fortunately, the positives of Ghost Warrior 2 far outweigh the negatives, and whilst it sometimes feels janky and cheap, it's about 5,000% more rewarding than Call of Duty, and that's a lot of percent.